This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270 791 1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are your number one source for WKU's news, sports, and information. We are the only year-round WKU podcast, and we are the only WKU podcast that covers every single sport and every athlete at Western Kentucky University. We are also a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I always recommend Twitter or X. That's our most up-to-date and most used platform as far as those daily updates coming through kind of as they happen. And then make sure you slide over to our YouTube channel as well. Give us a subscription over there if you're not already subscribed. Check out the video episodes that come out with every single audio episode that we release. Got Tyler here with me, man. We've got a basketball season preview to jump into, man. You ready?
Yeah, man, it's looking like the most wonderful time of the year. Again, basketball season here in the Bluegrass.
And we're not doing a game recap or game preview, but I do want to mention our other sponsor, Roof Girl, that will be part of all the basketball and football episodes going forward. So big shout out to Roof Girl for supporting, becoming a new sponsor. Not going to be on this episode with an ad read, but we do appreciate her joining us as an official sponsor. But we are going to jump straight into the WKU basketball 2025-26 season preview. And before we jump into this season and the roster and the schedule and our predictions, just first want to recap last year's season in 2024-25 in Hank Plona's first season as head coach at Western Kentucky. We went 17-15 overall. We were 8 wins and 10 losses in Conference USA play. We had a 13-5 record at home and a 4-9 record away from Diddle Arena. We ended the season losing to FIU in the Conference USA tournament opener. And this year, looking at the conference preseason poll for the 25-26 season, I've got it pulled up. If you're watching the video presentation on YouTube, the 25-26 coaches poll has WKU predicted to finish in 6th place in the conference. We're going to dive into that a little bit more as we, go through the players we have return in, the new signees, even some of our games, the non-conference and conference schedule. The only thing I'll really say about the preseason poll is just like we say about the football preseason poll every single year. You see, 4, 5, 6 top 25 teams get beat in college football every single year in week 1, week 2. This preseason poll is worth about as much as the paper that it's written on. Most of these 12 head coaches don't know what their own team is going to be, how good they're going to be. Almost every single one of us is reloading rosters with 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 plus new players. Short of Liberty and Kennesaw State, those two teams brought back more talent, more players, more known entities than the rest of the conference. Everyone else, and those are the top two teams. Everyone else, 3 through 12, is basically all new rosters. So a lot of new pieces that coaches have to figure out, have to hope they stay healthy, have to hope they gel, have to hope they have some players that stand out and are better than expected. So I think this race, this conference is going to have a lot of parity again. I don't think it's going to be I certainly don't think we're going to finish sixth in the conference. I'll just go ahead and put that out there right now. Where I don't think we're finishing sixth. I think we're a top 3, maybe top 4 team at worst in Conference USA. And I think Conference USA is better than it gets credit for as far as the overall talent of the league and the top teams. I think the issue with Conference USA is the bottom teams just aren't very good. Tyler, jump in and talk about this preseason poll. Just kind of what your thoughts on it are, what your expectations are for the season before we start jumping into this year's roster of returning players.
Yeah, so typically, Liberty's probably always going to be first up there on the list. Kennesaw State, they kind of surprising to see them get up that high. New Mexico State, but obviously, they were able to hoodwink enough other coaches to think they deserve to be top 3. Middle Tennessee and La Tech, I would expect them to be higher than Kennesaw State and Mexico State, and I'm really surprised that we are as low as we are. Kind of middle of the pack. Typically basketball is one of Western's strongest sports. So just kind of putting this middle of the pack to me is kind of disrespectful. Maybe that's just me with my red glasses on, but I mean, I don't see no other way around it. But Conference USA altogether has gotten better in basketball throughout the years. I don't know what these new teams are going to bring. Hopefully they bring something, but based from last year's record, not much. But typically you always have the lower of the packs, the FIUs, even though that's a hard game to win at home. But I mean, this is really just a crapshoot right here. As you said, the coaches don't know what they got, and the other coaches sure as heck don't know what the other teams have. So I just feel like they're going by name recognition alone on this preseason poll.
Yeah, basically a guessing game. And when that preseason poll came out, I took last year's preseason poll and I put it side by side with how the season ended last year. And the top 5 teams all moved up. The bottom 5 teams all moved down. I mean, nobody, it wasn't like 1, 2, 3 finished 1, 2, 3 where you expected them to finish. They all moved up. They were picked middle of the pack and moved up. The guys that were picked 1, 2, 3 moved down. And I think there's a lot less continuity this year, a lot less returning known pieces this year than there was last year by far. And I think that's only going to get worse with revenue share and the transfer portal until they put some parameters on the transfer portal where guys can't transfer 3-4 times in 4 years. It's going to kind of remain what it is, and that's the Wild Wild West. That's four teams in 4 years. Just free agency basically every single offseason, rebuilding new rosters with 10, 11, 12 new players. It's not college basketball that I think we all fell in love with, but you have to adapt and survive. And I think we've done a good job at doing that. And I think we built a really good roster this year. And first, we're going to talk about that roster. First, we're going to talk about the returning players. We might not talk as much about the returning guys because, I think, most of these guys, we kind of know what to expect from them. I really want to talk more about the new signees, the transfers coming in. But the first player to talk about is Blaze Keita. He's number 1 on the roster. He's a forward center. He's a 6'11", 250-pound graduate student. He transferred in last year from Nebraska. Last season, he played for us. Obviously, he appeared in 24 games. He averaged 13.2 minutes per game, 2.5 points per game, and 3.8 rebounds per game. The season before in 23-24, he did not play due to injury. He's had some ankle and some knee injuries over his career from Nebraska to his JUCO days. But this was his first summer and off season in several years of staying healthy. And I will say the one thing that I notice about Blaze, through 2 games so far, we got to see 1 game live versus KWC. And then obviously the second game, UAB just on the radio. He looks a lot thinner. He looks a lot more in shape. He looks a lot more mobile. He's getting up and down the court. He's a good rebounder. He's a smart player. Hank Plona has said that about him. I think last year he was just kind of put in an unfortunate position when Babacar went down and got injured, in game 10 versus Murray State, I believe it was. All of a sudden, Blaze and Leroy had to be the starting centers and play 20 minutes a game. We don't need Blaze to play 20 minutes a game. We need him to play 8 to 10 minutes a game with him and Leroy and Bryant, some of these other big bodies that we have. If we rotate those guys and we keep them fresher, I think we're going to get a lot better production out of them. So I'm real excited to see what Blaze can do, especially in a smaller role than what we kind of forced on him last year. I think he's a lot healthier coming into this season. I think we saw that against KWC, that he was just more mobile, running the court, getting rebounds, and looked good defensively. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Blaze and returning and how he looked against KWC?
Well, yeah, you're right. Last year was him and Leroy, and this year coach brought in some other big guys that we're going to talk about obviously later. But yes, his playing time this year shouldn't be as much as it was last year. He shouldn't be just taking half the time and down the post. But I mean, the guy has been pretty active in the preseason. I know tonight versus UAB, he had 5 rebounds. He only got 1 personal foul and had 4 points. And he played in 12 minutes. So, and yes, he started, but he won't have to do that every game. I think he's going to, if he can be a garbage man, especially with as big as he is and as heavy as he is, he should be having no trouble pushing some of them other guys out of the paint and just getting the rebounds and passing to the outlet guy and getting down the court. If he could be the trigger man on some of the fast breaks, I'll be happy. I'm here for it. But I think he's obviously going to play an important part, but hopefully this year it'll be minimized so he won't get tired running and get gassed throughout the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't really put a lot of stock into the starting lineups that we've seen so far. Through 2 games, we'll talk about the 2 games when we get down to the schedule a little bit more. We'll talk about the KWC game that we got to watch live, and then the UAB game that we kind of all just listened to on the radio or watch the live stats on. We'll give our input on what we saw and how we feel about it. The next returning player is redshirt freshman Cade Unsold. He's number 6 on the roster. He is a 6'5" guard. He's a 202-pound redshirt freshman. He's a Warren Central High School alumni from right here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. He did not play last season due to injury. Took that red shirt, took a year off, got healthy, has appeared, against KWC. I don't remember if he played tonight against UAB. I'm sure you can pull up his stats. But in high school, he was ranked the number 4 player in Kentucky in his class, and he led Warren Central to a state title as a junior when he was in high school. So Cade's one of those guys that when he steps on the floor, he's a big guard, 6'5", nice size shooting guard. When he steps on the court, pretty much that's where his range begins. If you leave him open, he's going to knock it down. I'm really glad to see him healthy. I know there were some concerns about if his knee was ever going to heal properly because he got injured his senior year. They kind of rushed him back so that he could play his senior year of high school and not miss it, which in hindsight was probably not the smartest move. It would have been better just to let him sit out, focus on college and recovery. But I also understand not wanting to miss your senior year of high school, your last year playing high school ball. But caused some issues last year. Unfortunately, had to miss the year, but glad to see him back on the court. I think he can be a contributor for this team. Now, I hope he's not someone, like we just talked about Blaze. I hope he's not someone we have to lean on for, 8 to 12 minutes a game. I hope he just comes in and, 2 or 3, 4-minute spurts, or if we're blowing somebody out. But he's a shooter. If you leave him open in the corner and we drive and kick to him, I expect that ball to go in. Or if he's wide open at top of the key, he showed against KWC, he'll step into those and knock those down. So real excited about Cade and what he's going to bring and just his overall future as a Hilltopper because he's a local kid, local player. I really feel like he's someone that even if he succeeds, we have a better chance of keeping him here long term for multiple years. So excited for Cade, excited to see him on the court this year. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Cade Unsold?
Yeah, so whenever he was in high school, he was the number 64 small forward and number 4 player in the Kentucky in the class of 2024. So I mean that's impressive in and of itself. Now with him being a local kid, kind of like I don't think he'll be as um, powerful as George Fant was, but I think he could become a fan favorite, which, everybody loves to root for the local kids. Everyone always has their backs and hopes for the best. And I hope he comes in and he just lights it up because he is a shooter. We saw that whenever we saw him play in Diddle, just in the first exhibition game that we'll talk about. But he's a tall guard, 6'5". Uh, that is that's going to be important because if we rely on him to come in, he could get them rebounds. I know we have a strong history of guards getting a lot of rebounds, so he could pick them up and just take off and go, and that's just going to help this team because I think Coach Hank is going to want to play. Or he already said he wants to play fast, so that's just going to help us play fast.
Yeah, real excited for that one. The next returning player that we have is another Cade, but this is Cade with a C, Cade Stinnett. He's number 10 on the roster. He is also a guard, 6'3", 198-pound redshirt junior. He is a Greenwood High School alum. He transferred in last year from Center College. He took a redshirt last year. He did not play after he transferred. In 2022 through 24, he started 20 games as a true sophomore at center. He averaged 16 points per game and 5.2 rebounds per game. And then as a freshman, he started 25 games at Center College and averaged 18 points per game and 5.3 rebounds per game. Um, Gonna notice a lot of local flavor, a lot of Kentucky boy flavor when you start going down this roster and even looking at some of Hank Plona's future recruiting and some of the commits that he has for the class of 26 and already the class of 27. He likes to identify local talent here in Bowling Green or just in the state of Kentucky. And Cade Stennett's another one of those guys. He's probably not ever going to be a starter here, but he could definitely feel that, that Jack Edlin type of a role, that Jalen Dorsey type of a role where he can come in and give you 4 minutes a game, 6 minutes a game. He got to play against KWC. He looked comfortable out there. And looking at his center stats, he averaged 16 points per game one year. He averaged 18 points per game another year in college. His first 2 years, just showed he's a scorer. He knows how to put the ball in the hoop. I don't think we're going to lean on him and expect him to do that here, but we have that option. He's a player that can shoot, he can score, he's going to be comfortable doing that. And if we need him on the court, um, he's going to fit in just fine. No, I don't think he's going to be a double digit scorer, but I'm excited to have him on the team and to get to see him contribute for the next couple years. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Cade Stinnett?
Yeah, he obviously is a scorer, and if he can come in and not, yeah, as you said, not play major minutes, not something that we're going to need long term, but maybe as a crutch to help give a starter or someone else some time to rest up, get some water, get some Gatorade in the system, get them ready to get back out there. I could definitely see him being that. Yeah, the Gatorade, the drink of choice. Um, but could he become the new fluff on this team? I think if he comes in, I don't think he's just going to be jacking up threes. I think he'll be able to get into the lane, maybe draw a foul or two in his playing time, however many minutes or long that is. And that's just going to give us a weapon out there that we didn't have in the previous years. Um, I am excited to see what he can do because you're right, he did look very comfortable out there on the court. But um, is would I be comfortable out there seeing him out there all the time? No, because if that happens, then something has gone wrong. And no offense to Kate Stennett at all, but you're right. He probably won't ever be a starter. Probably going to definitely be a an off the bench type of guy. But if he can rest up and he knows his role and he's good at his role, I think he's definitely going to be an asset to the team.
Yeah, the next guy we're going to talk about, I think, might have one of the highest upsides of any of the returning players that we have, and that's just because of his playing history in college already, and that is point guard Terrion Murdix. He is number 11 on the roster, 6'1", 170 pound graduate student. He previously transferred over from Texas A&M Corpus Christi. He came over with Steve Lutz a couple years ago. Had suffered an injury to one of his knees. He did not play in 2023-24. Then he re-injured that knee right as we were about to make that March Madness run in practice. Re-injured his knee, had to have surgery again. Missed all of last season, missed all of 24-25 due to knee injury. Now, finally, he's been cleared. If you've listened to any of Coach Plona's preseason pressers, he's been cleared since July. He has not missed any workouts. He's not missed any runs. He's done everything with the team. He's ready to play. He's wearing a big old brace on his knee. You can't miss it. But man, he's out there. He is a warrior. And look at what he did when he was healthy in 2022-23 when he last played. He started 31 games at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. He averaged 27.7 minutes per game, 13.4 points per game, 5.4 assists per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, and 2.3 steals per game. He was the Southland Conference Defensive Player of the Year. A 6'1" guard was the Southland Defensive Player of the Year. He was first team all conference. He led the Southland Conference in assists and assist versus turnover ratio and in steals. And he led the Corpus Christi team to an NCAA tournament berth, and he was a Southland Conference tournament MVP. Um, he's just a player. He's a warrior. He's a winner. He's what Coach Plona calls the only true point guard on our roster. We have other guys that can handle the ball and bring the ball up. There's no shortage of guys that can do that, but Terrion is a player that is going to look to get other people involved, pass people, find people for open shots, and make the team better. He's not out there looking to pad his own stats, put up huge points per game numbers. He's going to make the team better, and then he's locked down defensively. He's going to get steals. He's going to affect the game without having the ball in his hands. The way he reads the teams and what's about to happen on the court, and he's a player that if he can stay healthy. And even coming off 2 knee injuries, if he can be 80 to 90% of what he was a few years ago, fully healthy, 30 months ago, he last played college basketball. Coming into this season, he's going to be a heck of a player. And we got to see a little sneak peek of him against KWC. He came in, he played 8 minutes. You could tell, it was kind of some shake off the rust, get back into the swing of things. Didn't push himself too hard. Coach Plona knew, hey, let's just see how you feel. Get out there some game time, and we'll see how your body, your knee reacts after this. But he was fine. Played again tonight against UAB. He's going to be a player for us, man. I'm super excited for Terrion. I just hope he stays healthy and has a good season for us because he definitely can be an impactful player for us. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Terrion Murdix?
Well, I think he'll be a very important player because I think he's definitely going to be the floor general whenever he's out there handling the point guard position. Because I mean, you look at his numbers, um, great. I mean, the dude puts stats in every category. I think him getting that defensive player of the year award is awesome because I mean that's one thing that we're going to need because Conference USA, I'm not sure about this year, but in previous years it was very guard heavy, a lot of good guards, and so if we can have someone like him to replace what we lost last year, I think that's only going to help us in the long run. And then he can get points, he can get rebounds, he can get assists, steals. We're definitely going to need that. So I think everyone should be excited to see Terrion play, and I know I am. He's been sitting the bench the last 2 years. I've been hopeful, and so them hopes have finally come into fruition. and I think it's just going to be it's going to be awesome to see him out there playing in the red and white, and I'm very excited to see what he can do this year.
The next player is probably everybody's favorite walk-on player the last couple years. It's Jack Edlin. He's number 5 on the roster. He is a 5'10" guard. He's a 172-pound junior. Like I said, he's a walk-on, but the way he's played the last couple years and the minutes he's kind of been forced into just due to injuries, etc. He's not your average typical walk-on. He's a guy that can come out there and give you 12 to 15 plus minutes a game if need to be, and be the primary ball handler, distributor, and he's just comfortable. He's confident. He's a tough player. Last season, he appeared in 27 games. He averaged 11.9 minutes per game. He had 2.9 points per game and shot 36.4% from three. And then in 23-24, his freshman season, he appeared in 27 games, 8.7 minutes per game, 1 point per game, and 1.2 assists per game. So again, not your typical walk-on, playing 9 minutes per game and 12 minutes per game. That's not what walk-ons do. Typically, those are, 4 minutes or less on average, 2 to 4 minutes at the most. But Jack is not your typical walk-on. He's a tough, hard-nosed player. Just love the energy he brings to the court. Love the leadership. He's another Terry on. He's not out there looking to get his shot off first. He's out there looking to distribute, make the team better. He can shoot. He knocked down a couple threes against KWC and got the start tonight versus UAB. So just he's a real exciting player, a nice role player to have on the bench where if you need to get him in the game, you know what you're getting from Jack Edlin, and that's going to be effort, that's going to be energy, good attitude, and just good leadership on the court. So I'm real excited to have Jack back for another season. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Jack?
Yeah, you mentioned he's everyone's favorite walk on. He's definitely one of my favorite players on the team. You mentioned his shooting. Last season he finished with 40.6% shooting from the field and a 36.4% clip from beyond the arc. He shot 16 of 44 from threes and 28 of 69 from the field. So, yeah, last season he got 15 steals, dished out 19 assists, and he grabbed 21 rebounds. I mean, this player Jack is not afraid to sacrifice his body. He'll dive on the ball after loose. He'll dive on the floor after loose balls. He's very unselfish. He's hard nosed. He will poke his head in there and poke his hand in there and try to knock the ball out. And I mean, a player like that just gets everyone else kind of riled up, and he's someone that the team won't. I want to say he's everyone that can get the team fired up. And last season when he took over the point guard position, he was kind of that off tempo guard. He didn't really make that many mistakes that I remember. He was very he's a very good passer. He's not one that really commits a lot of turnovers, and he plays under control. And that's if you can get that from a starter, that's awesome. If you get that from a walk on, that's only a bonus. So I'm really looking forward to him seeing how he built his game up over the offseason, going from sophomore to his junior year. Hopefully, he made a big jump from last season, and he's going to be playing out of his mind this season.
I doubt he listens, but shout out to athletic trainer John Irwin actively texting me right now while we're recording this episode. I just want to shout that out in case he does listen. 29 minutes in, notifications popping up on my phone over my notes. The next player we're going to talk about is another big returning Leroy Odiahi. He's number 21. He's a forward / center, 6'11", 218-pound graduate student. He transferred in last year from ODU. Kind of the same story as Blaze. Kind of came in and was expected to just be a reserve role player, maybe play, 4 to 8 minutes a game to give Baba and or Blaze a breather. And then Baba went down injured, and all of a sudden he's playing 14 to 20 minutes per game. So last season he appeared in 31 games. He averaged 14.6 minutes per game, 1.9 points per game, 2.7 rebounds per game, and almost 1 full block per game. The year prior, he was in 24 games. He averaged 10.8 minutes per game, 1.2 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game, and zero point 0.8 blocks per game. Again, Leroy's just one of those players that he's a great piece to have on the bench. He's a great role player. He's going to bring energy. He brings effort. He's mobile. He has good hands. He'll catch lobs. He threw down at least one dunk tonight against UAB. He gets up around the rim and finishes. He's not someone I want to lean on and expect him to play 20 plus minutes a game. But I think when you have the rotation of bigs that we have with Blaze and Leroy and Bryant and Noah Boyd and Grant Newell, when you can rotate all those bodies in and the tempo of play that we like to play, that's a big plus for our roster and just our versatility and just keeping those big guys fresh, and you're going to get that much more productivity out of them. So I'm real excited for Leroy to be back for another year. Know he can contribute. He played tonight against UAB. He played against KWC and was impactful. He didn't look lost on the floor. So real excited to see what he can bring to this team again this season. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Leroy?
Yeah, hopefully from 2020 through 4 to 2020 or 2023 season to 2024 season, I'm sorry. Yes, from 2023 to 2024 season, he did make that jump in minutes, points, and rebounds, and in blocks. So I'd like to see him become a better rim protector. We do have a lot of bigs this year, and he may not be the biggest or the heaviest, but I feel like he can be a dominant big man. And when we was watching that KWC game, whenever they came out at halftime and they was doing warm ups, I seen him do some pretty good jams. So I really like to see him get on a fast break and just yam one down. But I feel like this season could be another jump for him. But you're right. I don't think we're going to have to rely on any of our big mans to play a majority of the minutes. I feel like they can easily spread them out because we do have so many on the team. But I feel like this year, like we both said, we won't have to rely on him. But I feel like he's definitely going to be adding to this year's team.
Yeah, real excited for him. And now this last returning player to talk about is probably the one that I am most excited to see returning this year. And that is Tegan Moore. He's number 30 on the roster. He's a 6'5" guard, 220-pound redshirt sophomore. Of course, he didn't play last year due to an injury. He had a hip injury, a surgery, didn't recover well enough or fast enough in time. And he had to make a really, I'm sure, hard, difficult, and adult decision early last season, right as the season was starting, to make that decision on, does he rush back and possibly re-injure himself and set himself back, or does he take the year off and redshirt and come back this year fully healthy. And he made a super difficult decision that I respect the heck out of. He redshirted. He did not play. He rehabbed all year. And I think we're going to see the fruits and the benefit of that this year. Looking back at his freshman year in 2023-24, he appeared in 28 games. He averaged 13.8 minutes per game, 6.2 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game. And looking at the end of his freshman year, they always say by the end of your freshman year, you're not a freshman anymore. He was a seasoned player at that time. That was an all-conference freshman team player. Nearly could have been a freshman player of the year in Conference USA. He scored double-digit points in 4 of the final 6 games, including 22 points in our last home game of the season against Louisiana Tech. And that was with a really good team. That was with Daniel Bacho, you know who I'm talking about, and Mr. Crawford, Isaiah Crawford. That was a tough Louisiana Tech team that has some big bodies, and he was our leading scorer that game and scored 22 points. Fast forward to this year, you see Tegan Moore in the first 2 games of this year, you can tell he's trimmed down. Not that he was ever big his freshman year, but he has trimmed his body down. He's noticeably more athletic, running the floor better, and I've just had to answer a lot of questions about him. What to expect from him this year, and Tegan is going to be a bucket getter. He's probably, in my opinion, he's probably going to be our leading scorer. I've been nothing but impressed with him when he played against KWC. He almost dropped 30 points tonight against UAB. He's just a clutch player that's hard to stop. He's going to get and ones. He's going to get to the free throw line. He can just do it all. He's kind of that utility knife player. You can dump the ball down to. He can get you a tough basket. He can shoot the three. He hit a couple of those tonight against UAB. Man, I just think the sky's the limit for Tegan Moore, and he's just a redshirt sophomore. He's an all-conference caliber player right now, and hopefully we have 2 more years of Tegan Moore ahead of us. Not guaranteed, obviously, with the portal and what it is, but he also could have left during his redshirt year, but he chose to stick around and play for Coach Hank, and hopefully that bodes well for the future beyond this season. But I'm really excited for Tegan Moore and what he's going to add to this team, and just how good he is and what his upside is. Man, he is going to be one of the leaders, if not the leader, of this basketball team, and I'm really excited for Tegan, and he's already showed that in 2 exhibition games this season. So Tyler, what are your thoughts on Tegan Moore? What do you expect from him?
Yeah, last year I thought he was a missing piece, or at least one of the missing pieces from that team last year, because his freshman year we did depend on him. He played great. Actually, he was twice named Conference USA Freshman of the Week in his freshman year, and as you said, he posted double-digit points in 4 of the final 6 regular season games. Hopefully, a little sidebar. Hopefully, no one gets assaulted by Daniel Bacho this season. It's I know I think he graduated, so that shouldn't be a problem. But the dude's a player. The dude's got that dog in him. I'm really excited for him to be back playing this year. I'm glad that he recovered good. You're right. That was a grown up decision that he made. I'm glad he didn't try to rush back, hurt himself, or hurt the team by making a very immature decision. Because he is someone who will get you rebounds. He'll get you points. He's just kind of a jack of all trades, master of none type of player. But he's a blue collar type player, and that's a player that I can respect.
Yeah, I think sky's the limit for Tegan. He is that dude, and been trying to tell people that all summer about him, about things I heard about him in practice. Even last year when he was healthy, and he could have came back last year, but he would have had to burn that red shirt. He was dominating practice, with the players that we had last year. And we had a pretty good roster last year, but he was dominating practice. And now that's all I've heard about him this summer. He dominates practice. That's who he is. And man, I'm excited for him. But that's the end of our returning players. Now we're going to jump into our new signees and transfers. The first player to talk about is Cam Hafner. He is at number 3. He is a guard, 6'2", 180 pounds senior transfer from Evansville. Last season, 24-25, he appeared in 20 games. He averaged 30.3 minutes per game, 12.7 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, and shot 36.7% from 3. Believe he had a hand injury. I don't remember if it was wrist or thumb, but he had a hand injury that cut his season short. That's why he only played 20 games. But he did play in the game versus us last year when we played up there at Evansville. So he was familiar with this. I don't know if that played into him coming here, but solid player. Looking back at his 23-24 season, he appeared in 35 games. He averaged 15.9 minutes per game, 4.7 points per game, 1.8 rebounds per game, and shot 32.4% from three. And then his freshman season, 22-23, he appeared in 27 games. He averaged 19.7 minutes per game, 7.5 points per game, 1.8 rebounds per game, and shot 42.7% from three. And he was the OVC Rookie of the Year in the Ohio Valley Conference. So the thing I like most about Cam, one, he's obviously a shooter. If you look at his 3-point percentage, 42% as a freshman, 36, almost 37% last year. If we can get him the ball and nice open looks, catch and shoot looks, he's going to knock him down. And he made a couple of those tonight against UAB. I don't recall if I think he might have made one against KWC at least, but he's also a heck of an athlete. He can drive to the bucket. He had a very acrobatic catch and finish layup against KWC that the WKU basketball account has shared the video of, and I think we shared it as well last week. So, I mean, Cam is he's an athlete. He's a shooter. He's a scorer, just kind of a natural, gifted scorer. He's an older player. He's a senior, so he's played a lot of college basketball, been there, done that. Not going to be afraid of the moment. And he's a guy that I like having on the roster as a second, third, fourth option. Somebody you don't have to lean on to be a 15 to 20 points per game guy. He can just be come in and just take what the defense gives him. He doesn't have to force his offense. He doesn't have to force his game. Can sit in the corner and take some wide open threes, can drive to the basket, and just give you that quiet 6, 10, 12 points, several rebounds, shooting, making some threes. I think that's the perfect type of role player that this team needs with the depth and experience that we have. I think, man, real excited for Cam. One of the players I'm most excited about, and I'm glad he's here. And the little that we've seen of him already this year, just super excited for what he's going to do here at Western Kentucky. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Cam Hafner?
Yeah, it's great to have another shooter on the team. Last season I'm just going to rattle off some of the points that he had. So against Green Bay, he scored a career high 27 points on 10 of 16 shooting. And against Belmont last season, he went 7 of 12 from behind the arc in a 25-point effort. And then he finished the season with 20 points and 9 boards with a win over SIU. He was the MVC Scholar Athlete third team and MVC Most Improved Team. Cam, you're right. He's a very gifted scorer. We seen that firsthand versus KWC. He is able to get into the lane, which makes him, kind of a threat. Players are going to have to, they can try to come up and guard him, and he can shoot past them, or at least get around them, get inside the lane. Or if they try to play lack on him, he can just drill it from a long distance. So, I think he's another good get that Hank got. I'm glad that Hank was able to get him on the team because the dude can score, dude can get points, and that's something that last year I felt like it kind of only we relied on one person to get the majority of our points. This year, that's not a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. The points should be spread amongst a lot of people, and I'm here for it, dude. Cam's going to be a great player. You're right. He's senior. He's got plenty of experience. So, I mean, he knows when to pass the ball and when he knows his game. And hopefully the team is gelled together and he knows everyone else's game.
The next player we're going to talk about is Louis Simona. He's number 33 on the roster. He is a forward, 6'8", 205-pound junior. He is a transfer from Stonehill College. And I can say after one game of seeing him versus KWC, that's Louis Bird. I'm going to tell you, that's Louis Bird. I'm going to call him that all season and hopefully all next year. He's a lot bigger in person than what I was expecting. We were sitting courtside for the KWC game, and that 6'8", 205. He has a big body, but you can tell he's a comfortable and a good athlete. Can finish at the rim, caught a lob, and threw it down from Jack against KWC. Looking at what he did at Stonehill before coming to Western, 2024-25, he played in 32 games. He had 15 starts. He averaged 27.8 minutes per game, 13.2 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game. He had 60 made three-pointers at a 37.5% make rate, and he had a season high of 33 points last season. And then his true freshman year, he appeared in 31 games. He had 14 starts, 18.1 minutes per game, and 4.5 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game. I can almost kind of copy and paste the things I said about Cam Hafner, being a role player, someone that can contribute on this team, and say it about Louis Simona. He may just do it in different ways because he's a bigger body, less athletic, but still a heck of a shooter, and has showed that he can finish at the rim. If you leave him a rim run, throw it up there to him, he'll go finish it. But just a really nice piece to this roster that I just think gets overlooked when you look at all the pieces that Coach Plona and staff put together. He's not someone that you go, oh, a transfer from Stonehill College. That doesn't excite many people. And I understand that. I get that. If you're just focused on the name and where they came from for every single one of these transfers, then be prepared to be disappointed because the days are over of grabbing SEC and ACC, backups and reserves, guys that are, looking to start somewhere fresh, somewhere new. Those guys are getting paid big money and staying in those Power Four conferences. But Louis Simona, or Louis Bird, as I'll call him, is going to be a heck of a player and a contributor here. He might never average double digit points here, but if he can come in, play good defense, give good effort, and knock down a couple open threes when they're presented to him, those opportunities, he's going to be a very nice role player and someone that we can depend on whenever those moments are come up and his number is called for. So I'm very excited for Louis Simona. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Louis?
I'm gonna call him Louis Legend. Uh, I mean, last season, he in one game he scored 30 points on 10 of 16 shooting. The other one he scored 33 points on 10 of 17 shooting. You're right, he made 63s last season. I think the last two seasons. I mean, the dude's a shooter. Dude is an athlete. Um, I think he's going to be a big piece of the offense whenever he comes in. Of course, I'd like to see him play some defense. I've yet to really. I got to see one game of him play defense. I had to listen to the UAB game. But I feel like he could be a big part because he might be able to get up there. Not necessarily. I think he played probably 3 or 4. But he's going to be a threat if he played forward because that means he's going to have to draw that big guy out. That's one thing I like what Hank did. This team, he did get some shooters. He got plenty of shooters on this team, and you got a 6'8" guy who can drill the three. That's a threat no matter who you're playing up against. So I'm excited that Hank was able to get him signed and get him down here at Western, but. I'm hoping that he is another player that really excites a lot of people and really surprises a lot of people.
Yeah, the next player I want to talk about is another one that I'm really excited about. I think you can just say that about this entire roster, really, but I really like a lot of these pieces. But this one, Bryant Celebonge, number 0. He is a forward, 6'8", 225-pound graduate player. He transfers here from McNeese State, and the minute we signed Bryant and I saw his player profile and went and watched some video clips of him, the boy has been inside the weight room. If you ever see him, big shoulders, biceps, you can tell he is no stranger to getting in the weight room and putting up some iron. So he's a big, strong boy, 6'8", 225, mobile. He's athletic. He's not a player that's out there looking to shoot threes. I don't think when I was going over his player stats, I don't think he ever even has attempted a three, which is rare in today's basketball, pro or college. But he's a player that's going to do all the dirty work. He's going to get those hard rebounds, offensive or defensive. He's going to clean up those misses right around the rim, get the easy putbacks. He's just kind of that junkyard dog, can do it all, will get the hard points. And he's going to play a lot of minutes at the five, quite frankly. It might be a smaller five at 6'8", but he's going to hold his own down there. I can promise you that. In 97 career games, he's had 36 starts. Last season, he appeared in 35 games. He averaged 14.6 minutes per game, 3.7 points per game, and 4.3 rebounds per game. The year before that, he was at Arizona State. He appeared in 32 games. He averaged 15.9 points per game, 4.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game. And then the year before that, his freshman year, he was at Tulsa. He appeared in 30 games. He averaged 31.4 minutes per game, 12 points per game, and 9.2 rebounds per game. So just looking at his college experience, he's gotten a lot of playing time at Tulsa and was really productive. He got, his playing time went down at Arizona State and at McNeese State, but he still was giving you, 4 or 5 rebounds per game in limited minutes, 4 or 5 points per game in limited minutes. That just kind of shows you the type of player he is. That, you may never be dumping the ball down to him and trying to get those back to the basket points, but he's going to get you some tip ins, some putbacks, some easy dunks around the rim. We saw, just against KWC and UAB, he can finish at the rim. He's just going to be a high energy player, and I really like what he brings to this roster, and I think he's going to be a huge piece of our success as the season continues. So I'm super excited for Bryant Celebonge. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Bryant?
Yeah, so as you said, he's a guy who kind of cleans up the boards and everything. Last season, he ranked third on McNeese. He ranked third on the team with 150 total rebounds and 66 offensive rebounds. If there's someone who was able to get a quad double double, I feel like it'd be Bryant. As you said, he gets rebounds, he gets putbacks. If he's able to do that a lot this season, maybe coming off the weak side, or just be able to get inside position on his guy and get a butt in him and get him out and get offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. That's something that you won't have to rely on the other big guys to do, and we can play small. If you put him and Louis, I think both of them are 6'8". If you put both of them in there, one's inside, one's outside, that's going to be tough for most teams to guard. But I am excited, and you're right. This whole team you can get excited about. A bunch of these guys are great players, older players. You got some local Kentucky kids in there. This team right here, if you're a Western fan, you should be very excited to watch this team play, because if they get it all together and they groove like we think they should, this could be a very dangerous team. And yeah, I'm not expecting him to. I mean, if he does average 14 points a game, I'll be more than happy for it, because he is kind of that garbage player, that guy that you're not going to pass the ball to him, like you said. Really, him being post up, but if he can clean up the boards and get the points that we would have missed, that's only going to help us.
I'm not going to tell him that you just called him a garbage player, because he's a big boy. I know what you meant, but that's what you said. I could clip that and send it. That could be bad.
You ain't got to.
I ain't gonna do it, but I could. The next player I want to talk about is signee Noah Boyd. He is number 7. He is a forward center. He is a 7-foot, 245-pound senior. He is a transfer from LSU. I just said we don't get transfers from the SEC. We got to transfer from the SEC, but we got to transfer from the SEC because he has some injury history, and I know that can be concerning. This past season, he was cleared from a December of 2023 ACL injury. So as of end of October, it's been almost 2 years since that ACL injury occurred. So he is well removed from the injury problem. He was cleared last year in December of 2024 to return, but he only played in a couple games. He only played 12 minutes last year at LSU. Previous to LSU, he played at McCook Community College. He was named to the 550 list of junior college freshmen through JUCOrecruiting.com. In 2023-24, he appeared in 5 games. He played 23.6 minutes per game. He averaged 12 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, and shot 53.3% from the field. In 2022-23, he appeared in 31 games with 27 starts. He averaged 21.7 minutes per game, 10.9 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and 56.7% from the field. The one thing I'll say about Noah is he is an athletic big guy. He is a nice addition to the rotation of bigs that we have with Blaze and Leroy and Bryant. And then you plug in an athletic SEC caliber big that has some injury history. But if he can stay healthy and he can get comfortable in the offense and what we need him to do, he really, I don't know if he'll ever reach the potential of what Rodney Howard did a couple years ago in his 1 year with Steve Lutz when we made the NCAA tournament run. But by the end of the year with Rodney Howard, he had become a player that you could be comfortable dumping the ball down to, throwing it to him, and letting him go get you a basket with his back to the basket. I don't know if Noah will ever get to that point, but I think he has that upside of athletic potential. He has that athletic build like Rodney did, like Bryant Salabonga has. You can tell he's in really good shape. Um, and he's just a solid, a rotational big player that's going to be really impactful for this team. He played a lot versus KWC, had a good game. He played tonight against UAB. He did leave the game early with an injury. It doesn't appear that it was serious. They showed a clip of him celebrating with LJ Hackman after the game-winning layup. So hopefully that wasn't a serious injury and something he will return from. But man, I think Noah can be a major contributor to this team before the year's over, especially just in that rotation of bigs that we have, keeping those guys fresh, throwing, 3 basically 7-footers at people. We can play a big lineup or we can play small, whatever, the offense or defense dictates or needs at the time. So really excited for Noah. He's another one that I hope he can stay healthy because he will contribute to this team and help us win some ball games. So really excited for him. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Noah Boyd?
Yeah, I mean, you can't teach size, and I'm never going to turn down a 7-footer, especially one 7 foot 245. He should be absolutely dominating the paint. Hopefully this season he does stay healthy. Yes, I was listening to the game tonight whenever he did get hurt and or he went down. And I didn't like the way it sounded, but I'm glad that he was up celebrating with LJ at the end of the game. I'm hoping that he has a big leap this season, and he's able to gobble up the rebounds. He's able to get putbacks. Hopefully, they throw the ball down low to him, and he's able just to boss people around. Because I mean, it's going to be hard to stop him. They're going to double team him. Then whenever they do that, play a little inside out game, get it to a guard on the wing or in the corner or at top of the key, and then that opens up the entire offense again. But I think Noah has a lot of upside, and I'm very excited to see him play, especially with him being LSU. Because I mean, he came from a JUCO, went to LSU. Obviously, they saw something in him that they liked. Yes, he had injuries. That's why he didn't get to play that much. But like I said, I just really hope he stays healthy this year and he's able to dominate down low like I think he should.
Yeah, the next player we're going to talk about is Ryan Myers. He is number 4 on the roster. He is a 6'1", 180-pound guard. He is a graduate senior. He is a transfer from Western Illinois. Last season, he appeared in 29 games. He had 28 starts. He averaged 32.4 minutes per game. He scored 13 points per game, 2.7 rebounds per game, and had 1.7 assists per game, and he was a double-figure scorer 18 times. The year before that, he appeared in 32 games. He had 31 starts, averaged 30.2 minutes per game, 13.3 points per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, 2.1 assists per games. And then the year before that, he played at Indian Hills with guess who? Coach Hank Plona in 2022-23. He appeared in 34 games. He had 28 starts. He averaged 8.6 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game, and he is a career 37.3% shooter. So just looking at his stats, one, he's played a lot of college basketball. Two, good three-point shooter. He's also a ball handler. He was the primary ball handler at Western Illinois. I believe he was their leading scorer last year when I was looking up their stats. This is another guy that, again, kind of plug and play. He may not be a starter here. He may never start one game for us. I don't know. There's a lot of depth and versatility, a lot of guard options that Coach Plona has. Hopefully we don't get to the point of injuries and that happen to happen due to injury. But you've got a guy, potentially coming off the bench that can score double digits and can knock down threes at close to a 38 to 40% clip. That's just a great addition to the team. That's a great role player. He's already familiar with Coach Plona from their time at Indian Hills. He knows the system. He knows the expectations. He knows the standard that the coach and the staff are going to hold of him to get time on the court. And I just really look forward to what he brings to this team, the depth that he brings to this team, the versatility as just another guard that we can plug and play in there and not have much drop off in production and in talent. I just think that really gets overlooked when people just again are looking at this pickup and they see Western Illinois and they go, well, Western Illinois wasn't very good last year. But if you took the best player from a bad team, that's still a good player to get, in my opinion. Glad to have him here. I think he's going to be a heck of a contributor and really excited for what he's going to bring to this roster. Tyler, what do you think about Ryan?
I like him a lot. Yeah, whenever he was at Western Illinois, he was an all OVC second team selection. He was an NABC all district second team. You jump down to whenever he played at Iona. He led them shooting 43.2% from the 3-point range. So that was 2020 through 2022. I'm never going to turn down a big man. Never going to turn down a shooter. Especially if he's able to get kind of like Cam, if he's able to get inside the paint and just pump fake someone, get them up in the air, get around them, a little floater, a little layup action, end up getting to the free throw line and one. I'm happy. I'm here for it. But this team is very guard heavy, very big man heavy, which we had a lot of injuries last year, so it's always good to have a little bit extra in the tank. But you're right. He never may start a game, but I definitely see him being a big contributor off the bench, in point wise and in time wise.
The next player we're going to talk about, again, another one I'm really excited for. Stop me if you've heard it before, but Grant Newell, number 8 on the roster. He is a forward. He's a 6'9", 220-pound senior. He transfers here from University of North Texas. Last season, he played and started in 36 games. He averaged 21.8 minutes per game, 6.2 points per game, and 3.6 rebounds per game. The year prior to that, he was at Cal. He played in 32 games. He had 11 starts, 21.3 minutes per game, 5.5 points per game, 3.5 rebounds. And then his freshman year, he appeared in 31 games with 28 starts, and this is at Cal. 26.8 minutes per game, 8 points per game, and almost 4 rebounds per game. So again, another guy on the roster who's played a lot of college basketball and played at good programs too. Played at California. That's a good West Coast team. And then played at North Texas. And if you remember North Texas from when they were in Conference USA with us, that is a tough defensive team. They are a grind you down, slow you down team that is very solid and sound defensively. And if he can bring that kind of energy and that effort and that expectation to the defensive side of the court, I think it's really going to translate to one, him seeing a lot of court and a lot of playing time, which he's used to doing. I have him penciled in as a starter when we get to that point. But Coach Plona obviously thinks a lot of him. He took him as his player representative to the Conference USA media days. Um, he started today versus UAB. 6'9". He's a versatile big that can play, the 3, the 4. You could put him down at the 5 as a smaller, big man. It just, again, it goes to the depth and versatility that we have on this year's roster that we didn't have last year. And a lot of that was due to injuries, and a lot of it was just due to the players coming back. We had so many players come back. We were just kind of locked into what we had. We didn't have many fringe pieces that we could fill with what we needed. But Coach Plona did that in bunches this off season, and finding a player of his caliber. It's really exciting. I think he's a player that can be, can probably lead us in scoring on a given night, or he can just, score 6 to 8 points, have 6 to 8 rebounds, a couple assists, and just kind of be that glue guy that just gives you a quiet, productive night, and lets LJ and Teagan and lets those guys have the glory, kind of like they did tonight versus UAB. He's just going to be a solid senior leader player for this team, which, quite frankly, we have a lot of senior players on this team, but he looks to be that vocal leader of this team potentially. Early in the season, it's hard to say if he will be or not, but I think his upside is huge. I think he's going to be a big factor into us winning games down the stretch. Tyler, what do you think about Grant Newell?
Well, I mean, he's 6'9", and wash, rinse, repeat. He's another shooter. Last season, he made 23 pointers on the year, shot 33.3% from deep. And the year before that, and also last season, he had 3 steals in the win over Northern Iowa, and he had 2 blocks in UNT win over Arkansas State. So, also, University of North Texas was undefeated whenever he played 30 plus minutes. So, hopefully that tradition continues. And I mean, if that's the case, put him out there for 30 minutes. At California, he made 21 3-pointers and shot 30.4% from deep. And he shot 41.3% from the floor at California. So obviously he is a offensive weapon, defensive weapon, it seems like. I think he will be very productive in our class of bigs. And I'm with you. I'm very excited to see him play. Very excited to see him grow as a hilltopper, because I think he can definitely be something special here on the hill.
Now, again, stop me if you've heard this out of my mouth during this rundown of roster, but this next player is, of the signees, he's the one I'm most excited about. Teagan was the returner I was most excited about. Terrion was the injured player I was most excited about. LJ Hackman, the JUCO transfer, is the newcomer signee that I'm most excited about. He is number 2 on the roster. He is a 6'3", 200-pound guard, junior college transfer from Jones College. This last season, he averaged 16.9 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, 3.6 assists per game. He scored in double figures in 29 of 34 games, and he earned first-team JUCO All-American honors. Then in 23-24, his freshman season, he averaged 13.2 points per game, 4.2 rebounds per game, 3.8 assists per game, and he finished the season earning all MACC honorable mention and an invitation to the All-American JUCO Showcase in Atlanta. He's just a ball player. He's a scorer. As soon as he got to college, to junior college, 13 points per game his first year, 16.9 points per game last year. JUCO first team All-American. He is just a natural scorer, and we've seen that already through 2 games. We were the benefactor of that tonight with a game-winning driving layup with 8 seconds to go versus UAB to break the tie, give us the lead, and then he didn't celebrate. He wasn't going crazy with the bench or the fans or whomever. He ran down, got back on defense, and then blocked a game-winning attempted three-pointer by UAB. So just tough on both ends of the floor. A little bit of a bigger guard, 6'3", 200, can play the one or the two, has been a ball handler, can be a shooting guard, probably going to look more to score. Talked about Terrion Murdoch being a pass first guard. LJ Hackman is going to be more of that Don McHenry, look to get his shot, look to get to the rim, can draw fouls, can finish, can score points in bunches. I look at him to be one of our leading scorers this year. I think Teagan will be the guy, but I think LJ Hackman is going to be the Robin to his Batman. I think he's going to be right there with them. I think he'll lead us in scoring several nights if Teagan does have an off night or foul trouble or whatever happens or just LJ gets hot. We haven't seen him start to knock down threes yet. Now I was telling somebody earlier after the UAB game, I said, man, when he starts making his 3-pointers, I want to say he was 0 for 4 tonight, something like that. When those start going down, it's just going to make him that much more dangerous and open up him driving to the hole, which he's already been doing. So, man, just really excited for LJ. I just think he has that score mentality that every team needs, and he's going to be just a great addition to this team and this roster and just to us winning ball games this year. Tyler, what are your thoughts on LJ?
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Um, you know, at his 2 years at Jones College, he shot 47.1% from the field, shot 84.2% from the free throw line, and he finished in double figures in 29 of 34 games. And he finished with 20 plus points and 11 outings on the year. Uh, I mean, the guy is a scorer, and the guy and he wrapped his career at Jones College just shy of 1,000 points. And he helped the Bobcats go for a combined 57 and 11 while he was there. So the dude's a winner. The dude, LJ, he's a heck of a player. Hopefully that translates great up here on the hill. And I think it will, because I, I'm very excited. It was very exciting to see Don McHenry do what Don McHenry did last season or the last 2 seasons. You give him a lot more support and cast. I believe that's only going to be make him more unstoppable, uh, because he won't have to just go off the dribble. He can dish and drive and finish with a layup or get inside the lane. So I think he is going to be an excellent player for Hank and the rest of the Hilltopper Nations, and I'm just really excited for him to be here.
The next two players that we have to talk about are the true freshmen on this year's roster. We've talked about all the returners and the signees that have college experience. The first one we're going to talk about is Lawson Rice. He is number 24. He is a guard. He is 6'6", 195 pounds. He's a freshman from Butler County. He missed his senior season of high school due to an ACL injury. He averaged 18 points and 10.7 rebounds per game his junior year. He shot 61% from the field and 41% from three. He had totaled 1,500 plus points in high school and 892 rebounds through 4 seasons of varsity action. We haven't seen him suit up yet this year. He was in street clothes for KWC, in street clothes again tonight, and did not play for UAB. Probably, if I had to guess, probably a player that we don't rush back and can potentially redshirt, and just save that year of eligibility and let him properly heal completely. He is probably pushing a year now since that injury occurred. So starting to round into fully healthy, but who know? I mean, who knows? Middle end of the season, maybe they could plug him in for some mop up minutes. I don't know. The one thing I really remember about Lawson Rice is when he burst onto the scene and got his offer. It was when the Butler County team was playing here at the WKU camp, and there was a video clip that kind of went viral, locally, WKU circle wise, of him blocking a layup on one end and then going coast to coast around the back and dunking on somebody on the other end. So a big guard, 6'6", 195 pounds, good sized body frame on him, local kid from right up the road in Butler County. So when he is playing, he's going to have a lot of fan support here, supporting him at Diddle Arena. So really excited for what he may bring when he does get healthy, whenever that is, whether that's this year or next year. He can be an exciting athletic piece that adds to this roster. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Lawson Rice?
Yeah, it's always good to have local kids, and it's always good to have good playing local kids. His junior year, that's when Butler County made it to the Sweet 16, the Kentucky Sweet 16, and led them to obviously to get there, you had to win the third region championship. Uh, but he was a big part of that, and I think this is a great get for Hank and the Hilltoppers, and I think he's going to be a great supportive cast. Yes, he doesn't need to rush back if he needs to redshirt this season. This would be the one player that I would say do it. Let him get a little bit bigger, let him work on his game, and I think when he comes back, I think he will be a great player.
And then the last player on the roster to talk about, but certainly not least, now that we've seen 2 games of action of him, is Armello Boone. He is number 12. He is a 6'4", 175-pound freshman guard. He's from Woodford County here in Kentucky. He averaged 20.8 points and 6.4 rebounds as a junior. He posted 1,475 total points in his first 3 seasons of varsity action. And if you've kept your ear close enough to the ground and listened to Hank Plona in press conferences leading up to the season starting, and now that we've played 2 games, he has talked a lot about Armello Boone and how good of a player he is, how good he's been in practice. Just every single day, he can do everything. He can play positions 1 through 4. He can play point. He ran point some against KWC. He brings a lot of energy and effort on defense. I think he had 4 steals tonight versus UAB. He had some freshman turnovers to be expected. Those freshman moments are going to happen. But just what you see from him athletically and defensively and what he brings to the court effort wise, um, he doesn't look like a freshman. He has that potential to be that, almost that Julius Thetford breakout kind of player that we had last year that, at one point was our second leading scorer. Once we had some injuries and he's right there behind Don being leaned on to score a lot of points. I don't think we'll have to lean on Armello that heavy, but he has certainly shown the ability to shoot the three, to get to the ball to the rack. He's tough defensively. He's going to be a player that's hard to keep off the court just because of the effort and the intensity and just everything he brings to the court. He is going to play minutes this year and be a contributor as a true freshman. And I just think he's a solid player. You hate to think this way, but he's one that I hope we can keep around for multiple years. But regardless, I'm going to enjoy him this year because he is a heck of a player. Had a good game against KWC, had another good game tonight against UAB. And now the regular season is going to start, and I hope that continues for him and he continues to grow and blossom as a player because he's going to help us win games this year with what he brings to the court. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Armello Boone?
Well, this was the one freshman that I was really excited about whenever we first signed him. Um, you know, Lawson Rice, I failed to mention this. He had like 19 points in the Kings of the Bluegrass tournament. Armello Boone had 26. He averaged 26 points in those 3 games in the King of the Bluegrass. Also, another player that played in the Kentucky Sweet 16. He did it as his sophomore year. He was the. We got 2 freshmen here that both had over 1,000 points through their high school career. I think Armello Boone, like in the game against UAB, he had 4 steals, 3 turnovers, and 2 blocks. So he can do a little bit of everything. And you're right. I hope we can keep him all through his whole career. He don't transfer out because I think by the time he gets a few years on him, gets a little experience on him in the college game, I think he's going to be a beast, and I think he'll end up being a great guard for us.
All right, rapid fire questions about our roster. Now that we've talked about every single player returning and the new signees, etc. Tyler, who are you most excited to see? Even though we've seen them in game action, so we've got a sneak peek of them. But who are you most excited to see on this year's roster?
Oh gosh, amongst them all, gosh, I'm gonna say Terrion Murdix. That's a player that we have had on the bench the last 2 seasons, so I'm real excited to see what he can finally do for us on the court.
If you go by my notes on every player, I'm most excited for all of them. But if I had to pick just one, I'm going to go with Tegan Moore, and that's just because I really think he's going to be the scoring leader of this team, and I think he's going to backpack us and win us some games individually by himself. He dang near did it tonight against UAB, putting up nearly 30 against them. Had a lot of clutch buckets. Had a bucket with a minute to go that put us up three, that kept us in position to win the game before LJ made that winning layup. So Tegan Moore, most excited to see. I think he's just going to be a leader for this team. Who is your newcomer of the year on this year's roster?
Oh gosh, dang, I'm gonna go with Bryant Silabongo. As whenever we was watching the KWC game, I even mentioned it to you. I was like, that dude looks like he could be a player, and that's before I knew all the stats and all that thing. I think he's going to wind up being a great player for us. He's got the build. You're right. He is. He looks very athletic, and I think he can be a beast, or force to be reckoned with against other teams.
My newcomer of the year is definitely LJ Hackman, junior college All American. Um, has already shown through 2 games that he just is that willing scorer, can do a little bit of everything, can rebound, can pass. Clutch Gene had the game winning layup with 8 seconds left against UAB tonight. He's going to be a player that I'm probably going to call him Robin a lot this year because I think Tegan's going to be Batman and I think LJ Hackman is going to be Robin. But I think he has Batman potential. Don't get me wrong. I think he can be our leading scorer at any given time once he gets comfortable and adapts to this level of basketball, not just the JUCO level. He's taken a step up. I expect it to get harder, but all he's done is proven that he's a scorer, he's a bucket getter, and he's going to be playing a lot of minutes for this team. So I'm real excited for LJ Hackman and what he brings to this team. Who would you name as your X Factor player on the roster?
Dang, this is a tough one. I'm gonna go Grant Newell. I feel like he can do it. He comes from good teams. He has that experience, and he obviously knows how to score. And I think he's going to be the X factor. Do I think he'll have the speed? I don't know. I think an X factor. I tend to think. I don't know. I'm gonna go Grant Newell on this one.
Yeah, we don't share notes, but Grant is also my X factor. I just think he's that glue guy, that he's that guy that can do anything and everything on the court. We've seen his athleticism, we've seen him play defense, we've seen him score, he can rebound. You just can't teach that 6'8", 6'9" size, the mobility he has, how solid he can be on defense. I just think he's going to be a vocal leader, and lead by his actions and lead by his play on the court. Um, and even if he never leads us in scoring or leads us in any statistical category, I think he's going to be a player that is highly contributing to the success and to the victories that this team has down the stretch just by being a calming voice or that senior leader. So I think he's a perfect player to be my X Factor player as well. Tyler, we've seen 2 starting 5s versus KWC and versus UAB. I'm not taking much away from those. I don't think that's going to be our regular season. By the time we get to Conference USA, Starting five, I think we have a lot of options. I think we have a lot of versatility. I don't know if this starting five will ever be set in stone of who it is or who it isn't. But if you had to pick a starting five today, who would you pencil in as your five starters?
Yeah, you're right. What last year how many starting fives do we have last year? It was a lot. Um, I think with this one, I'm going to go Noah Boyd, center. Um, Celebongo. Oh gosh. That's forward. Small forward. I'm going to go with. This one is tough. Um, you know what? I'm gonna throw a little curve. I'm gonna go Louis Legend on it. Just because I think that'd be nice. Uh, let's see, shooting guard. Oh no! I think gosh, I gotta have Tegan in there. So maybe take Louis out, Tegan in. Um, and then the rest of them, dude. I think you got to go. Uh, Terrion Murdix and LJ Hackman. For your most experience and most points getting off the rip. I think that'll be your most explosive starting five.
Yeah, mine's very similar. I think Bryant Celebonge or Noah Boyd can be your mainstays at the five. I think Bryant may play more minutes there. I think he's healthier and may contribute more as the five. So I have him penciled in as my starter there. I think Grant Newell, 6'9". I think that's my four. Tegan Moore, he's listed as a guard, but I mean he's obviously a big body. He can play that two or three position. So I have him penciled in as my three. LJ Hackman at two. He could easily also slide over to the point guard if Terrion's not starting for some reason. But I have LJ Hackman at the two, Terrion Murdix at the one starting. But just we've talked about every single player, 16 players on this roster. Each of these positions, we've got one or two plus guys you could rotate into there, and you're not going to have a lot of drop off on the talent of the roster. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about this team and how good they can or may be this season. Now we're going to jump in and look at the schedule. First, we're going to talk about the exhibition games because those have actually been played. We intentionally waited until those games had been played because this team and this roster was so new that we essentially had no information about them. I mean, other than the few guys returning, and several of those guys were injured, so we didn't know what we were getting with them. So we waited till we saw the KWC game. We saw it live in person, courtside seats. Really got to see those players and that defense and the offense really up close. And then, the game versus UAB tonight was obviously just on the radio and keeping up with the live stats. But I think you could kind of get a good feel for how that game was going. It was a competitive game. But just talking about those two wins, one, the KWC game, we won it going away like you would expect to beat a lower level team. That's what we should have seen. Every single person played, was rotating players and fresh bodies in there just consistently. We saw the defense just lock down into the end of the first half, going into the second half, and just opened up and just beat them handily. No doubt about that game. The UAB game, while it doesn't count as a win-loss game, um, it's an exhibition game. I wish it was a regularly scheduled regular season game. But what we do know about UAB is that one, Andy Kennedy recruits at a really high level. They've been at or near the top of the American Conference since they left Conference USA. And two, they're just well coached. I don't know what kind of team they're going to be this year. I think they have 12 or 13 new players. Their preseason picked fourth in the American. Last season, they were 24-13 overall. They were 13-5 in conference play. But I do know that they're typically a solid and consistent team. So for us to go down to UAB and beat them at their place where we were 4-9 on the road last year. We just, we lost double the amount of games that we won on the road. That was kind of our Achilles heel. We just couldn't get over that hump and consistently win games on the road. And we went down there and beat UAB tonight, and we didn't shoot the ball well. Yeah, I don't remember what our final stats were from three, but we did not shoot. Yeah, we made 4 of them. Yeah, 4 out of 21. Not good. Yeah, not good. Under 25% there, under 20%. So, um, not a good night shooting from three, but still was able to put that game away with good defense. Especially our free throw line defense. They were terrible from the free throw line, but just a solid victory on the road without knowing how good UAB is going to be this year. I don't know. I don't know how good we're going to be this year, but I know that it's a step in the right direction to go on the road and win an exhibition game against a good program, without knowing how good they're going to be win loss wise. They're a good, well coached team that had talent on the court. That gives me a lot of positive vibes going into the regular season. Tyler, what are your thoughts on just the 2 regular season or 2 exhibition games as we look at the regular season coming up next?
Yeah, one thing that causes me pause is the 3-point shooting so far. Against Kentucky or against KWC, we were 6 of 24, and tonight we were 4 of 21. I think at halftime during the UAB game, we had 10 turnovers. We ended up with 14. Against Kentucky Wesleyan, we had 10 turnovers throughout the game. But yeah, last year having UAB come up there and they beat us, didn't really like that too much. But it's nice to have revenge. I do like you. I wish they would make this a regular season game. Hopefully in the future they'll talk about it and get it done. But I mean, Tegan Moore, he was our leading. He was our leading scorer in both exhibitions. Had 11 versus KWC. He had 26 tonight. I mean, you're right. We should have beat KWC. It's still big that we won both exhibitions. UAB, it was a tight game. It was close. I think we only got up maybe 7 points the most in the second half, first half, second half. But it was good to see us close that out, get some good defensive stops, and yeah, it don't hurt that UAB couldn't hit a broadside of a barn from the free throw line. But hey, I'll take the unofficial win. I think that's only going to make us better. Whenever the season starts, I think Monday. Coming quick, but I think the team's going to gel good, and I think this should be a very productive basketball season.
Yeah, then looking at the rest of our non-conference schedule, we opened the regular season on November 3rd versus Tennessee Tech. They were 15-17 last year, 10-10 in conference play. Then a week later on 11-10, we play at EKU. They were 18-14 last season. They were 12-6 in conference. Then on 11-16, we host Tennessee State. They were 17-16 last season, 12-8 in the conference. On 11-18, we host Bethel. They were 16-12, 4-8 in conference play. Then we go to the Battle for Atlantis tournament. On 11-26, we open play with SEC foe Vanderbilt. That game is at 12 p.m. on 11/26. It's on ESPN. That should be a heck of a tough game. And then, depending on whether we win or lose, we'll play either VCU or USF in the next round of that tournament. Last year, Vanderbilt was 20-13 overall. They were 8-10 in the SEC. VCU was 28-7 last year. They were 15-3 in conference, and then USF was 13-19 overall. They were 6-12 in conference play. And then we'll have a third game that will be determined who we play depending on our win-loss from the first and second game, to be determined, obviously, down at the Battle for Atlantis. Then looking at the rest of non-conference play on 12/6, we play Evansville here at home. They were 11-21 last year, 8-12 in conference. And then on 12-10, we go to Marshall and play them. Return game from last year's game. They were 20-13 last season, 12-6 in Sun Belt play. And then on 12-15, we play versus Campbellsville here at home. They were 12-17 last year, 3-9 in conference. And then we close our non-conference schedule on 12-19 versus Tulsa. They were 13-20 overall last season and 6-12 in their conference play. So Tyler, just real quick, looking down at these 11 games, these non-conference matchups, who do you think is our toughest game on the non-conference schedule?
Oh gosh, I think it's definitely going to be in the battle for Atlantis. That's that's a tough one. You know, Vanderbilt or VCU. Um, I, I would assume Vanderbilt is probably going to be our toughest non-conference game, just because you know they can get hot from the three. They are an SEC opponent, um, so I'm going to go probably with Vanderbilt being the toughest.
Yeah, I think we have a few tough games on the schedule. To be honest, I think Vanderbilt is probably the strongest team we'll play. They could be a top 20, top 25 caliber program. RPI wise, Ken Palm wise, they are a top 20 program. Not sure if they will be by the time we get to them, but on paper, they're a good team. I think the game at EKU, I think that can be a tough game, and I think the VCU game, if we end up playing them, they won their conference last season. That can be a tough game. And then also the game on the road at Marshall. I think that it can be a tough game, just because it's an old rival at this point. But I definitely think Vanderbilt is the toughest game on our schedule. Tyler, who would you say is the most exciting game on our schedule in the non-con?
Well, I mean, I'll to echo you. Uh, there's multiple ones. You know, EKU is a very exciting game. Marshall's going to be a very exciting game because of the ties that bind us. The EKU, it's always exciting to have East versus West. You know, directional schools, a lot of history of hatred right there. And then you got Marshall; they're kind of the newer rival for us. But I'm going to go with most exciting. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to go with EKU on that one, because just because of the long-standing rivalry that we had them, the old school rivalry.
Yeah, I think EKU's right there, but I think Marshall to me is the most exciting game. I love having that game. I really like the regional flair of our non-conference schedule. I mean, almost every game is travelable if you wanted to drive or go to them. You know, Tennessee Tech, EKU, Tennessee State, Vanderbilt obviously is at Atlantis, but Evansville, Marshall, Campbellsville are all easily travelable games, whether they're here in Bowling Green or on the road. I think our schedule has a really regional based feel to it, and I don't think that's an accident. I think that's on purpose. I won't be surprised if it's something we see more going forward. But I think Marshall, that's the game I hope to make. Obviously, there's some stuff I've got to get clear and past, but I've made that trip before for basketball and for football, and I hope by the second week of December I'm cleared and can make that trip again because it'll be a fun one, especially when we go kick their butt. Tyler, 11 games. What's your predicted win loss record in the non-con?
All right, I might have my red lenses on. I think we do drop a few games. I think either in the battle for Atlantis. I mean, we could lose all three of them games, but I think we win. Um, I think we win one of those, or I'm sorry, we lose one of those, um, and I think we lose one other game. Not sure where that's going to come at. EKU, hopefully not Marshall. Could be in that battle for Atlantis that we lose two in there, but I'm going to say we go 9-2 in the non-conference. My hope is high for this team.
I think a lot of people would take that. Yeah, I'm pretty close to you. I think we're going 8-3. Vanderbilt I say that's probably a loss. Marshall or EKU or maybe VCU. I think of those 3 games, I think there's definitely a possibility that we can lose 2 of those 3, especially with Marshall and EKU both being on the road. That's tough. We saw winning on the road last year was tough. We were 4-9 on the road. I hope we're wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I eat crow. I hope we win both of those games and all 11 of these games. And um, I'll gladly admit my error after the fact. But I think going 8-3 with this non-conference schedule, I think that will be acceptable. I think we have a good team, and we can look forward to the conference schedule um, for this upcoming season. And just running through it real quick, we have a 20-game conference schedule this year. That's up from 18 games last year. We open our conference play on 12/29 versus Jacksonville State. We are on the road. They finished 23-13 last year. They were 12-6 in conference. They finished third in the conference, and we lost both games to Jacksonville State last year. Then on January 2nd, the Fighting Ray Harpers. On January 2nd, we host Sam Houston. They were 13-9 last year, 6-12 in conference. They finished in ninth, and we were 1-1 versus them last year. Then on 1-4, we host Louisiana Tech. They were 20-12 last season, 9-9 in Conference USA play. They finished sixth in conference, and we split the series with them 1-1 last year. Then on 1-8, we go to New Mexico State. They were 17-15 last year, 10-8 in conference. They finished fifth in conference, and we split the series with them 1-1. On 110, we go to UTEP. They were 18-15 last year, 7-11 in conference play. They finished eighth in the conference, and we won both games versus them last year, 2-0. Then on 114, we host a newcomer, Missouri State. They were 9-23 overall last year. They were 2-18 in conference play. Then on 117, we host Kennesaw State. They were 19-14 last season, 10-8 in conference play. They finished fourth in Conference USA, and we split the season series with them last year, 1-1. Then on 124, we go to Sam Houston, 128 at Kennesaw, 131, 100 miles of hate at Middle Tennessee. They were 22-12 last season, 12-6 in conference. They finished second in Conference USA, and we lost both games to them last year. Then on 2-5, we have the return game with Jacksonville State, the Fighting Ray Harpers. On 2-7, we play versus FIU here at home. They were 10-23 on the season last year. They were 3-15 in Conference USA play. They finished 10th in the conference. That's last year. But we finished with a 1-2 record versus them last year, including that Conference USA tournament loss. Then on 2-14, we have the return game versus MTSU, 100 miles of hate here at home. On 2-18, we go to Delaware and play them for the first time. They were 16-20 last year with a 5-13 record in conference. On 2-21, we go to Liberty, 2-26 hosting New Mexico State, and then 2-28 hosting UTEP. And then we close the season on the road. On March 5th, we go to Missouri State. And then on March 7th, we go to Miami to play at FIU. The thing that jumps out at me about Conference USA last year, one, only what, 2 teams beat us 2 times last year, swept us. That was Jacksonville State and Middle Tennessee beat us 2 times, and we didn't beat them any. We only beat 1 team 2 times and didn't lose to them any, and that was UTEP. The rest of the teams in Conference USA, we split 1-1, and I think that's kind of why we finished so disappointing so far back in the standings in 7th place last year. When you're splitting every single series, you're not 2-0 anybody. That's kind of where that Conference USA parity steps in, and whoever can win on the road consistently is who's going to be right there, for that regular season championship, and potentially putting their name as the favorite. All right, Tyler, some questions about the conference schedule now, just like we did for the non-conference. Who do you consider to be the conference favorite as of right now before we've played any games?
I would say probably Liberty. I would agree with that with the preseason poll. I feel like Liberty definitely going to be up there, probably in the conference favorite, just because of everything they have and everything they seem to always have. They always seem to have good players. They got a good coach. So yeah, I would assume Liberty's going to be there.
Yeah, I think Liberty is the conference favorite, and mainly that's because they bring back three of their top four scorers just off the top of my head. I know they bring back Zach Cleveland, and then both of their guards. I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but Cade Matheny and drawing a blank on the other one. But they bring back a lot of production from last year, and they won the conference last year and the conference USA tournament down in Huntsville. So I think they are the undisputed conference favorite without much argument from most of us in the conference. Tyler, where do you think that we will finish in Conference USA?
Uh, I would definitely say top three. I would lean probably more to the two spot rather than the third, but with the talent that we have and the amount of players that we have and skill that we have, I can't see us dropping anything lower than three.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there. I think we have a top three team in the league as well, but I also think that the top three or four teams in this league are all really good. I think Liberty can definitely go to the NCAA tournament again. I think we have the talent to make an NCAA tournament run if we can stay healthy and put it all together in what we've seen in two games so far. And I also think Kennesaw State's another kind of sneaky team that brings back some talent. They bring back the preseason player of the year, Simeon Cottle, expected to step up and play a bigger role since they lost Adrian Woolley this year to Louisville. So, I think it's anybody's game. That top three, it's going to be who can beat each other and win on the road, and that's what's going to boil down to. I think we can beat any of those teams, but I just think they have a little bit more experience at returning players than what we do right now before any regular season games have been played. Tyler, who do you think our toughest game on the conference schedule is?
Oh gosh, Middle Tennessee's always tough. FIU's always a tough place to play down there. We don't have a very good record down there. Um, Liberty's going to be tough. I'm going to have to go with MTSU, just a rivalry. We've had not too many good games against them in recent history, so I'm going to have to go with MTSU.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think Liberty will be a battle just because they're so experienced and they're gonna execute at a high level. They know each other. They've played together for a few years now. So I think they're gonna be tough, but just don't like each other wise, it's gonna be MTSU. Those games are always a battle. The conference is better when both of our teams are good and competitive, and those games are just fierce. Love making that trip to Murfreesboro, going to Toots before the game, and then enjoying the game, and then heck, going to Toots again after the game. Why not? Let's do it. Sign me up. But I think Middle is going to be our toughest game on the schedule just because of the rivalry aspect of it. And I think they'll be a pretty good and decent team as well. But the rivalry aspect of it just takes it up another notch. What do you have for your predicted record of these 20 games? How many do we win and how many do we lose?
All right, once again, probably got my red lenses on. I think with this kind of overhauled roster, all the weapons that we have, I think we go 16-4. We probably drop one. We probably drop some away games, some home games that we probably shouldn't have. I'm probably going to definitely pencil in FIU at FIU because I hate that gym. That seems like our Achilles heel is definitely as a loss. And I'm just going to assume that we probably split with Liberty for sure. But give me 16-4 conference overall.
All right, so 16-4 in conference. You had us 9-2 in the non-conference, so you got us at 25-6 overall. I don't think anyone should complain about that. That's a pretty dang good year. I've got us a little bit less I have us going 8-2 at home, so dropping 2 home games, and 7-3 on the road, which would be a huge, huge improvement from last year, going 4-9 on the road, which is a total of 15-5 to go with my 8-3. I have us at 23-8 overall, so I have us at 2 less wins, 2 more losses than what you had. But either one, 20 plus, 21 plus wins is, I think, a good season for this Hilltopper team. Um, Looking at the overall schedule, the overall roster, the just the season as a whole, what is it going to take for you to consider it a successful season in year 2 under Coach Hank Plona?
I think with all the talent that we have, 20 win season is that's the bare standard. For a successful year, uh, I would say probably oh gosh, probably 23 win season. 20, I mean, with this team, with the depth that we got, if everyone stays healthy, I believe this could be a very great year. I've said that multiple times over this entire podcast or this episode. Um, I would say probably 23 win season, 24 win season.
I don't think my looking at his success or not success this year. I'm not going to hinge it on necessarily wins or losses that we have, but obviously we want to win more games. I think it's going to be more about where we finish in the standings, and I think the majority of fans expect us to be in the top 3 in the conference. Even if we don't win the conference, we understand that Liberty's returning a lot, but we need to be competitive with the top 2 teams in the league. If we are not one of the top 2 teams, if we're a 3rd place team or even a 4th place team, one, that's a huge step up from 7th place last year, which was a disappointing season, obviously injury filled. And I don't think is an indictment on Coach Plota's coaching or the staff's recruiting, etc. But I just think being more competitive, being towards the top of the standings, and then obviously once we go to Huntsville, putting ourselves in the best position to make another magical run. I think a lot of people forget that the Steve Lutz year, we were an 8-8 team, a ball team in Conference USA play. We were 500 in conference play, and we just went on a magical 4-day run, 4 wins in 4 days, and made it back to the NCAA tournament. So I think a successful season is just putting all these new parts together and being more competitive, winning more games, finishing higher in the standings, and proving that Coach Hank belongs at this level, can recruit at this level, and can win at this level, because that's why he was promoted, that he can win in this atmosphere and recruit in this atmosphere and coach in this NIL transfer portal, roster turning over brand new every single year. I think that's what he was promoted for. And I think he's going to prove why this year. And what would you consider to be a disappointing season this year under Coach Plona?
What last season said we finished 7th in the rankings, 7-6, 7. I mean, really, 6, 7. Last year, yes, pretty much as 1 or 2, maybe 3 players went, the whole team kind of went. This year is not that. I feel like this year, we, if we're going by standings, or something like that, I think, if you don't finish top within the top 4, I mean that 4 or 5. That's pretty disappointing. We do have a lot of talent. I feel like this is a good year for us. This could be a great year for us. Um, and yeah, Lutz, he had that magical run. But I think people would be a lot more happy if we could be more dominant the year and throughout the whole season. But this year, a lot of weapons, a lot of talent, and so far everyone's healthy. So I would say probably what disappointing. If we're told at 6, you fall within the you fall out of the top 5. I would say to me that would be pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same mindset. It's more about where if we're not in that top 3 or 4 discussion or just competitive with those teams, if we're still just a definite middle of the pack team, even if we're a healthy roster with all the pieces we have and the versatility we have, um, assuming we stay healthy, if we're still middle of the pack, I think that would be disappointing. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't see any way that will happen with the talent and the pieces and the versatility and just what we've seen so far through 2 games. I think there's too much talent there. There's enough talent to be competitive in this league. I think there's enough talent to win in this league, quite frankly. We've seen Liberty, we've seen their pieces and what they have. So, not afraid of anyone. We kind of know what they bring to the table. They don't know what we bring to the table at this point. By the time we play them, they will. They'll have some tape and some stats, etc. Um, but I think we can go toe to toe with anyone in this conference and surprise some people. Even surprise some of our own fans that are negative as can be coming into this season. I think there's a lot more wins uh, in this ball club than they want to give Coach Plona and staff for. I think it's going to be a big season. It's not conference title or bust. It's not NCAA tournament or bust. It's just show us some improvement in competitiveness and win more games than what we did last year. I think we have to take a step in that direction. And no matter what happens, we're going to build onto that next year and have an even better season with hopefully some more returning pieces. You can't expect a ton of them, just with natural turnover, seniors, etc. Um, I'm just real excited for the future with Coach Plona and this staff and the recruiting that they've shown they can do from the portal and the high school kids, and just finding the right pieces to come in and play their system and come in here and win games. And I'm really, really excited for what this season holds in the future. So, um, dang near a 2-hour marathon episode. I knew it was going to be a long one, going over the whole entire roster, the whole entire schedule, pushing midnight on Wednesday. But man, it was worth it because there's a lot of basketball coming up to be played. Obviously, we'll dive into all the games, previews, and recaps like we do for football. A little bit different, when you have 2 games a week, unlike football. So we'll get back into the groove of that real soon. Obviously, this crossover period with football still going on, it gets a little bit hairier, a little bit more dicey. But by the time conference play rolls around, it'll be the feature segment and the only thing we're talking about. So, real excited for basketball season to be back. Glad we were both in the building for KWC just a few days ago. Season opener right around the corner. Just excited for basketball, man. This is going to be a good team, a good season, and I can't wait to see them live and in action again this season. So, Tyler, hit us with your final words and then take us on out of here.
Yeah, I feel like this year's basketball team, with Bryant and all of them, and Tegan and Jack and all the other big guys in the forwards, and there's a lot of players that can fill a lot of different roles. You got to have the people who are willing to pack their lunchbox. I say this every year, you got to be willing to pack your lunchbox, put on your work boots, and go to work. And that's what a lot of these guys are going to be willing and able to do that, because I feel like some of these guys, it's not about me, it's about we. And if they can all play along and play their roles, this team can be tough out. The fans, hopefully the majority of them's excited to watch it, because I feel like it's going to be a very exciting season. And yeah, this is one of my favorite times of the year when football and basketball cross over, because the more sports I can watch, the kind of happier I am. Just because it's entertaining. But yeah, I think Hilltopper Nation should be pretty exciting about what's about to walk in there in the diddle, and hopefully everyone comes out and supports them. It was great, like I said, it was great getting to see KWC in person, that game in person. So yeah, with that, I'll say, Moff, it's been a long episode, a lot of talking, but who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Y'all go Tops.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See y'all.